the funny thing is that a lot of people that invested with MMM knew that it was a scam. I don't want to name names, but some of my friends put in a lot of money, and people went as far as borrowing, which is something you should never do for investment. If anything, investment is not for anybody that is hungry, not for somebody that the money that you have now, if you save it today, to now save it tomorrow. No. Hi. So today I want to talk about something that I've not talked about before on this channel, which is money matters. I realized people, especially people from Africa, I don't know about other parts of Africa, but in Nigeria, there's this general dislike from talking about money matters, anything related to money. I remember when I just finished from NYSC and I was asking around to know people's salary range, to get a feel of how to negotiate my salary so that I will not be cheated while negotiating. But there was just this, nobody wanted to talk about salaries. I don't know why, and I've never liked that. So this is just a way of me giving back to society, because since then I have learned a lot. I have learned a lot about money, and since I became interested in investments, I've even learned more than just making money or how to negotiate salaries, mostly how to make your money work for you passively. So I joined an investment group, kind of like group of friends that talk about investments and try to educate each other on what to know, what to do and what not to do. And since then I've become more confident in talking about investments and how to go about it with strangers. So today's video is going to be on investment and the psychology of investment, especially in Nigeria. I'm saying Nigeria because that's where I'm from and that's where the people I grew up with are from. So I have more knowledge of the psychology of investment that is prevalent in Nigeria. So my first encounter with investment is from the book The Richest Man in Babylon. And I remember finishing reading that book. I was in the university when I read the book. And I remember reading it, and the lessons I took away was that you should invest, put away 10% of your total earnings. Let that be what you gain for yourself. I mean, when you get your salary, if you look at it very well, you end up paying bills like your rent, internet, transport fare, buying clothes. You're essentially working to just acquire things. There's nothing you keep away for yourself. So the book is essentially saying that you should put away 10% for yourself. If you can increase it to more than 10%, then fine. But at least that's like the base rate that you should put away for yourself and use it for whatever you want. And personally, I would say, aside from savings, you should invest, because the reason why investment is very important is that you get more for your money than just putting it away in a traditional bank. Yes, banks are safer, but your money that you're putting away in your bank, how do you think banks get the money that they give you as interest? It's by investing your money in low risk investments, so they can earn more, maybe up to 10%, depending on the inflation rate in your country, and then give you a very small percentage of that. So before they used to just, now they still do it, they give to businesses at a higher rate and just give you a small percentage of their own profit. And by the way, a disclaimer right from the start, this is not investment advice. What I'm dishing out today is not investment advice. It is just my personal experience with learning about investment and investment platforms generally. So do with this information what you will. So yeah, after reading the book, I wanted to invest. Unfortunately, I didn't have money as a student. I just had enough to sustain myself. But then something happened. I got a scholarship. That was in second year, which should be around 2013, 2014. So I got a total scholarship. That's an oil and gas scholarship for 150k. So they were supposed to pay 3 times, but unfortunately I got paid twice. But the very first money I made, the very first money I was paid, I tried to invest it, as somebody that had knowledge of this thing. I'm like, banks are going to take much of my profit. I can invest this money and get more profit than whatever banks are offering. So I tried to put my money away in a savings scheme. Unfortunately, at the time, the investment scene in Nigeria is not as it is now. It's much developed than it was as of 2013, or at least in my eye. The platforms that are accessible for students and people that don't earn a lot of money are way more now since the advent of fintechs than how it was. Before, it was mostly banks doing their things. Either you put your money in a fixed deposit account and they give you a certain rate that is much higher than putting it in just a normal savings account. So I didn't want to put it in a fixed savings account. Fortunately for me, I learned about treasury bills, which is just like government borrowing your money and saying they'll give you back your money with an interest rate that is like at par with the inflation rate in your country, or a little bit higher than that. It's just an incentive to give government your money to use. So fortunately for me, I knew about treasury bills and I wanted to use that to at least make more than what the banks were offering for fixed deposits. I remember walking into one of the big banks in school at the time, and I went to the customer service desk. It was a lady at the desk. I told her, "Ma'am, I want to invest my money." And she didn't even look up from her. She was typing on her laptop or the desktop. I can't remember, but there was a computer she was typing away. I just told her I want to invest. She didn't even look up. She just asked me, "Do I have 1 million naira?" And I said no. She said, "Oh, unfortunately, we cannot help you with investment. Our investment packages start from 1 million naira." I was so disheartened because I had just gotten this money and this was an opportunity for me to practice what I had learned in the book. I had to leave the office. As I was about to leave the bank, one of their staff, how banks have targets for their account officers. So I'm guessing because of his target, he needed to not let that money walk away from the bank like that. He followed me and he told me that he can help me invest my money, or at least put it in a savings account that will yield more than what they would traditionally give to normal savings account. I was like, okay, that is a better way for me to earn more than just leaving this money in the savings account, because at the end of the month I was seeing what the money, I think a month had passed, and I saw the interest rate they had given me for that money in my account. So I was like, if there's an opportunity for me to make more, why not? So this guy told me something like 3% or 3.5, and I was like, okay. I was busy thinking that I calculated it as per annum, like 3.5% of 150k per annum, and they'll pay to me monthly. Instead of dividing their money by 12 and getting the money every single month at that rate. So I was so excited. I opened an account with them, and after the first month, I saw something like 150 naira. Of course, that was not part of the plan. I didn't plan to be getting 150 naira. I was thinking something like 10%, 11%, which is like 15k total. Not like 1,500 at the end of one entire year. So I started looking for other ways to make my money expand. At least earn more passively, because remember, the goal is passive income here. At least that was my goal at the time. As if by some, I don't know, rare the universe talking to him, I met someone and he just started telling me about investing money. I think I told him I got a scholarship or something. We were talking about money, and he just mentioned investments. He has this investment scheme he has been investing in, and they were giving him 30% every single month, 30% of his principal investment every single month. I was like, wow. And I'm here collecting 150 naira or 150k. Please tell me more. And mind you, this was before MMM became like rampant. I didn't even know there was anything like MMM. And he gave me the name of this company. I can't remember, something Africa Investment. They had a whole website, products they were selling and all of that. It looked legit. And I told you I'd started reading books on investment at this time. So at least I thought I knew what a scam investment would look like. And unfortunately, I was not being realistic with my investment goals and what I expected as returns. So that was how I gave them my money. I gave them my money, and okay, I didn't give them everything. I wanted to test the waters. I gave them some of my money, and I got the money. I even went as far as recruiting my brothers, my siblings, to join me in the investment platform because I had put in some of my money, and I saw returns the first month, second month. They were consistent, 30%. And I was like, oh, wow, let me add more. I even want to go and tell my siblings to come and see these people. These people are actually giving people their money. And I think that was around the time MMM became a thing. Like everybody was now trying to invest and get back their money, like flip their money sort of. And the funny thing is that a lot of people that invested with MMM knew that it was a scam. It was the people that just didn't know how money worked and thought it was okay to double your money and there will be no repercussions. A lot of the people that got scammed in MMM knew that it was not a sustainable investment scheme. Yet they were hoping to cash out before the whole thing tumbled over. I don't want to name names, but some of my friends put in a lot of money, and people went as far as borrowing, which is something you should never do for investment. Never borrow money for investment. I'll get to that part later, but yeah. So this other one on the side was giving their regular returns until one day, 1 month, I didn't see anything, and I called the guy that introduced me. So I called him and he said, that I should have patience. They were having one thing was occurring. I was like, okay, this is the first time they are not delivering on their promise. I didn't have any reason to panic. Besides, all the other investment platforms were doing well. MMM was thriving. I could not put my money there because I just didn't see how you put money, you bring 2 other people, and then they give you back your money ×2 and all of. I knew that one was a scam, but my spirit did not align with that one. Meanwhile, I was there thinking the one I'm with is the real deal. Well, after a month, it was story upon story, story after story, and before I know it was months later, and my money was gone. I didn't recover my capital. At least I was able to take away some of the money, but my capital was gone. I wasn't able to withdraw. Some people's story did not even pan out like this. They weren't able to withdraw anything. So that was how I was scammed for the first time. One thing I know now is that for these investment platforms to thrive, people have to have little to no knowledge about how investment works. Imagine me with my small 150k and I was thinking to earn like 15k is a reasonable amount, but because I didn't know that this is what is reasonable, I didn't have that idea. Somebody was able to convince me into thinking I could get 30% every single month, not per annum, per month. It was a ridiculous idea. I mean, no business is going to give you that. Even buying shares in tech would rarely ever give you that amount. So yeah, a lack of knowledge or proper knowledge of how investment works, a certain level of greed as well has to be involved. And then at the time, I think what compounded the issues with scam investments then was like a lack of banks and in fact financial organizations. There was little to no financial literacy at the time, and opportunities did not abound as well for normal people. I mean, banks didn't even give people the opportunity to feast their savings until it was a certain, like there was a base rate for you to fix your money. You can't just come with your 20k or 50k and say you want to fix. At the time, I think it was 1 million. Then they reduced it to 500k, and I don't know what the rate is now that you have to have before you can open a fixed deposit account, but it was high. It was very inaccessible to people that did not have a lot of money. Those were some of the reasons that allowed these scam investments to thrive. So fortunately for us and for people with little income that still want to go into investments, there are platforms like PiggyVest, Cowrywise, RiseVest. There are plenty. Bamboo. They allow you to invest even in dollar-denominated investments. Like you can buy shares from the US stock market directly from your Nigerian bank account. So that is something that at least I didn't think it was possible, and it was not accessible to the masses. And they even go as far as teaching people more about financial literacy and how investments work. So just to shed more light on how investments work, there are long-term and short-term investments. Even for treasury bills, they have the ones for the days. I will have to write it down. I can't remember exactly, but they have for 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year. And the interest rate you get for each duration varies. Obviously, when you put your money for a shorter period, your interest rate will be much smaller than somebody who puts it away for 365 days. So yeah, there are things that are short-term and long-term investments. So for long-term investments are things you have to put away for over a year. Money that you would not need in the interim, not money you're going to use to pay your rent, pay your school fees, immediate needs. And then there's the part of your financial appetite. Some people are willing to invest more, because the thing about investment is the higher the risk, the higher your interest, and the higher the possibility of you winning big. And some people would rather play the game of the possibility to lose more and gain more than just to manage their small 10%, 15% per annum. Knowing that interest rates are per annum is very important, because that was one of the things that derailed me and kind of confused me right from the beginning. So, like I said, there is a huge misconception about what investment is and what it is not. At least even till now, with all the financial literacy programs that are ongoing, a lot of people still don't understand what investment is all about. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme, and it's not a money-dumping scheme. In fact, if anything, investment is not for anybody that is hungry. Not for somebody that the money that you have now, if you save it today, to now save it tomorrow. No. At the same time, I feel, in fact, it's not I feel, I know that if you don't have enough money to put into investments, that you're not going to benefit a lot to call it a sort of passive income. Because, okay, let me use NVIDIA for example, because that is a tech stock that I have bought and I bought shares when it was still around 400. Imagine if I had $1,200 to buy 3 pieces, that's 3 units of NVIDIA when it was still 400. And now that it's around 1,200, even with the stock split, just imagine the amount of money that I could have made. But if at that time I only had $100 to buy 1/4 of the units, it has impacted in how much I'm able to gain even now that it is 1,200. So these are the mechanics at work. How much you put in will determine how much you get out, no matter how long you put your money in. Yes, compound interest plays a big role, and compound interest only works when you're able to keep your money for a long time and not touch it, irrespective of how the market performs. The market is not always going to favor you. No matter how predictive you are with your analysis on how the market will perform, sometimes it doesn't go the way you think it will. So these are things to have at the back of your mind, that it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. You don't use $100 to expect to get $1,000 at the end of the month. Even if it's Bitcoin, it takes a while. So these things take a while. It takes patience. If you're going in, it should be a long-term mindset. unless you want to do trading, which is a whole other form of investment. It's not even an investment, it's more of trading, like buying and selling. So that one is a whole other thing to discuss. It's a whole other concept. So yeah, the mindset we have about it needs to change. We need to reduce the level of expectations we have and to gain more knowledge. Thankfully, there are a lot of videos, there are a lot of books now. I recommend The Psychology of Money. That book is like the first thing I tell people about when I start talking about investment. It helps change mindsets that we have about money in general before we come over to investments. So these are the issues. Scam investments like MMM will continue to thrive. I'm using MMM because it's one of the popular ones that most people can relate to. They will continue to thrive because people don't know what to expect. And even when they do, that level of greed that, oh, if I put it now, I will be able to collect my own before it crashes. Can you time the market? So yeah, with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to convince and not confuse you that in as much as the investment can be a good thing, you would lose more if you don't do proper research into any company you're buying into, to knowing how investment works, in reducing your expectations, and yeah, in the long term, it is better than a savings account, obviously, and also in the long term, low risk pays as high as high risk. So high risk ones are usually the ones that you put in and come out of, when it's looking like you're going to fail, you rush out of. And I'm talking about established companies now, not the ones that we don't know their foundation. So I hope I've been able to convince you that you need to learn more about investment. I've already listed platforms that you can try out. And yeah, I hope to see all of us winning this life. See you in my next video. So I cut this wig last week. I think I got it last week from Natural Hair Rocks. They didn't pay me, I paid for it. It's in Nigeria. I don't know if it's a Nigerian company, but it's in Nigeria, and it took 2 weeks after ordering to arrive. I've already done a review on Instagram. I just said, let me come and show you people on YouTube. So I'm planning on stretching my hair up to 6 months. They touched it in June for my birthday. So the next time I'll retouch it will be in December. And buying a headband wig. This is my first headband wig. It's part of the strategy I intend to use to, keep my hair under control, maintain it, do low maintenance till I'm able to retouch it. This was 70k naira, with delivery fee was like 77 or 76,000 naira. But yeah, it looks like something that would last. Obviously, it's not human hair, but it feels like it is. I'm sure it's high quality synthetic, and it's very lightweight. It doesn't feel like I have anything on. Even the headband is secure. It has a pin inside. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm really happy about buying this hair. When I saw it, I knew I had to get it. I'd been planning to get it for a long time. But I saw somebody else wear it, and I was like, okay, I have to get it now. And I did. I'm very happy I did.